Okay, where are we? The Chav Gimel on the base. Did I start recording? Is Moshe, is the angle good?
No, it's not. Right?
Is that good? That's good?
Moshe getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
encouraging
think,
to be healthy. I see others eat healthy, healthy. Yeah.
oh, it is recording. It is recording already. Okay. Back to the daf. Chav Gimel on the base. Mishnah. Ezer Tam v'Ezer Muad. So we had the difference between a Tam and a Muad and Chamisha Tam and Chamisha Muad. The Mashar Muad is in the list of the Chamisha Muad. What is a Shar Muad? So the Torah talks about the difference in the beginning, the first couple of times, and then if he continued, even though he was warned, and the owner does not watch him, so then he's a Muad. Ezer Tam v'Ezer Muad. What constitutes a Tam? What constitutes a Muad? Two opinions. Rabbi Yehuda, Muad kol sheyidu bo shlosha yamim, v'tam sheyachzer bo shlosha yamim divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda goes in days. It means that if he was warned, we'll see warned, he gored and was warned 3 days, then he becomes a Muad. It doesn't say it has to be consecutive, but the point is that if it was all in 1 day, so then Rabbi Yehuda knows that he doesn't become a Muad. It could have been he got up on the wrong side of the bed and he was in a bad mood, whatever. He wasn't. You can't prove that that's his nature now, that he has a goring nature because it happened on 3 times in 1 day. So it has to be in 3 different days. I had no reason I should be consecutive days, but if on 3 separate days he gored, so then it becomes a muad. How does it become a tam? It means how can he reverse and now show that he's changed his bad ways and he became tame again? The word tam, I don't know if that has to do with the word tame, but for us it's good enough that he became tamed again. But tam, also in order to show that he's back to his good nature, calm nature, tame nature, so he has 3 days that he did not gore, that he had the opportunity to gore. He saw other oxen and he could have gored them and he didn't. That shows that he's back to be a tam. But if it would have been 1 day that he saw a lot of oxen and he didn't gore them, that doesn't mean that it became the tam, because maybe he only had a good day. That day, for some reason, he was in a good mood. So in order to prove both that he's a muad or that he became back to be a tam, it has to be on different days. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. That's the first opinion of Yehuda. But May Omer, muad shehidu bo shlosha pamim. He doesn't hold how he's coming to be machmir. That even Rabbi is being machmir. That even if he gored 3 times in the same day, that's enough to make him a muad. Yehuda would excuse him and say in 1 day we don't yet see that he's what would be the word? That he's okay, a good nice English word. That he's accustomed. Yeah. So only that's Rabbi Yehuda. But the Meir says no. Even in 1 day he gored 3 times. That shows that he's a muad. He became a muad. So Meir is machmir on that point. Tam kolshe Yehu atinokas mamash shenbo beinu noger. This is a bigger proof that he's a tam. That not only did he see victims, possible victims, and he didn't gore them. It has to be that he was even provoked. That the children are shepherding him, they're bothering him, and he didn't gore. That means he became very, very tame. So in that, it seems that he's being machmir. It seems that he's being machmir. But the Mephoshim say that your Meir also agrees to Rabbi Yehuda, but he also can have a quicker speed way of becoming a tame. That if he would have been 3 days that he didn't gore. Rabbi Meir also agrees to Rabbi Yehuda, but it's coming to be make more that if he shows that he's so tame, even if he's being provoked, he still doesn't react. Then also could become a tam. And that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't agree. He also after 3 days. So it comes out that each one has a chomer and a kula. Rabbi Yehuda, how does it go? Rabbi Yehuda is going to be mekel in becoming a tam, becoming a muad. He doesn't become a muad until 3 days. One day wouldn't make him into a muad. And a tam, he's machmir that he doesn't hold of this quick. What would be the word for it? Like a quick solution to be able to solution or to
recovery.
That they should show that he became a tam by being provoked by the children and he doesn't react. Only has to have 3 days. And Rabbi Meir has a chumrah as far as becoming a muad, that he could become a muad 3 times in 1 day. And he also has a kula that he could prove that he became back to become a tam If he was provoked and he doesn't react, then even automatically he can become back to become a tam.
There's two opinions. You said three opinions.
I didn't think there's Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir.
Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Two opinions.
Two opinions.
Okay.
The argument one is in each one. Rabbi Yehuda is machmer and mekel. Rabbi Meir is a machmer and mekel. Depends for what. Rabbi Meir is more machmer as far as becoming a muad, and he's more mekel as far as going back to become a tam. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What does he get to think about days? What is the same thing about days? Amar Abaye. So the pasuk. Okay. If the shore is a goring shore from yesterday and the day before, esmol, tmol means yesterday, and shalshom means 2 days ago. So it means he's already a frequent gorer. When he was warned by his owner, it means to his owners. The owner was warned, and he still did not guard his animal, even though he was warned. And the axe is going to kill. The point of killing it is negated to that also. If he kills his chayiv kofer, Hashor Yisrael v'gam of you must that the owner is chayiv kofer. But the issue about a muad would also be as far as going another ox. That if he goes another ox, also there's a din of a muad. So here, this is the pasuk that it brings that a shor becomes a muad, and the Gemara's nadash in the pasuk that it says mitmol shel shom. Here, and also maybe the next word also might be used. So far, the Gemara
itself tells us days, no?
says Tmol shel shom, says days, right? Says days.
Says days. Now,
Says
now,
days. How many days? But the point of days. So Rabbi Yehuda sounds good. This is the source of Rabbi Yehuda that has to do with days. It doesn't have to do with times. He could have said Shana Gahu, Pam Rishona, Pam Shnia, something like that. The fact that it says days, Rabbi Yehuda says that only becomes the more than days. So I started talking about how many times. That's not the point of the Gemara yet. How do you know that it has to do with days? My time with Rabbi Yehuda, that has to do with days. I'm Rabbi Tmol, Chad, Mitmol, Trey, Shilsham Tlasa. And then so Abaya, I'm sorry.
In between doesn't make a difference.
I don't think so. No, no reason to say not.
Like it's 5
But it shouldn't be on the same day. The same day it wouldn't become a more. So he darshins here the mitmol. He has another point that has an extra mem. He could have said tmol. Imshar nagahu tmol shilshom. That also would have been good enough. So the fact that it has a mem, so we darshin 3. Tmol shilshom. 1 day. Another day, yesterday, day before. Also, the mem also adds on another day, so it's already 3 times, 3 days that ox caught.
Adds another day besides yesterday.
Besides tomorrow, right? The extra mem. If it would have said tomorrow, it would have meant the day yesterday. It says mitmol is another day, and shilshom is the 3rd day. So you have 3 days altogether, and then what b'volav it says now it happened that he bought a 4th time. He's dashing on the 4th time. Everyone's going to say that he doesn't pay the nezek shalim until the 4th time. That's how the Mefarshim learn. Rashi over here has an issue about that, but the Mefarshim go that everybody agrees that's only on the 4th time. The only question is if it's days or not. So this is the point of Yehuda that the person talks about days. Yesterday, the day before, maybe even the day before that. So they get all three altogether. So that's how he sees that has to do with days. And the Gemara is going to have to deal with Rameir. How does he talk about times? The Chayr person only talks about days. So Abai said the drush is because it says Tmol is 1, Mitmol is 2, Shilshom is 3. Then the pasuk continues, Lo Yishmenu Bolav, that's the 4th Negicha, that's when he pays Nezek Shalem, Aliyah, then he's already a Muad. Once he was a Muad, and now he goes a 4th time, now he pays as a Muad. Rava Amar. Rava also is coming to explain Rabbi Yehuda. He says the same pasuk, but he dashes a little different. Mol, Mithmol, Chad. He doesn't see the extra mem. He doesn't dash an extra mem. So the whole word mitmol doesn't make a difference. Tmol, mitmol is all the same. That only tells you 1 day, yesterday. Shilshom is trey. That's the 2nd time, 2 days ago. Idna chayev. And now that he doesn't watch him, so now he's chayev. Rashi learns.
Holding 3 days.
So that's what Rashi says. Rashi says over here, and Rashi a couple of places later, he says that according to Rava, the big machlok is happening. That according to Rava, besides the point of the days, that's what may not be the days or times, but how many times? So Rashi learns that the Mechoks are buying Rav according to Abaya only chayv on the 4th time, and Rav holds even chayv on the 3rd time. But the other Mefarshim, they attack Rashi and they say many kashas, and they say also Rashi Yasmar Chazabo, Rashi himself in a different Masechta also retracted, and they only chayv on the 4th time. That's not the point. And we'll go like that Mefarshim. That's how we pass, and everybody holds. Rav is not coming to you. If you pass like Rav usually against Abaya, we're going to pass that everybody holds this only on the 4th time. But in the Drash, uses the three. So he would use the same pasuk, but instead of saying mitmol, he's going to say. And the Taisa says one shot at least that much more. There's no real machlokes. Word b'volav is the fourth time. Mitmol shilsham word b'volav is the fourth time. I'm sorry, it's the third time. I'm sorry. And that from now on, now he's a more. Now he's going to pay for nezek shalom.
But it sounds like two. How many times you have to wait? You have to wait. The third time, and he's already killed some third animal. That's a pretty dangerous.
So he still pays chatzin nezek for the third time. And now from now on, he's a more.
The Havamina and Rava very much.
It's not. He's not doing it because of the feelings. He's talking about in the psukim. How do you dash in the psukim? So Rashi says in the psukim that he's dashing. If he doesn't want to hold with the mem, so it only says two times. And Taisa says no. That the Gemara means to say V'lo Yishmenu is the third time, and from now on he's chayiv. So we'll learn like that. That's the halacha that he's only chayiv on the fourth time. The nezek shalom, the whole chomer of muad only happens takes 3 times to make him into a muad. And the point of Gemara is that Rashi has to do with days. So it's 3 days. He got on 3 different days. And now from now on, he becomes a muad. And if he goes again, I guess on a different day, I guess now that's to be maybe on the once on the third day, maybe if he goes now a second time, now he's already a muad. So let's make a difference. The fourth time could even be the same as the third day. That's not the point anymore. But in order to become a muad, he has to have proven that he's there's a word in English. I'm not finding it.
Rigid aggressor.
Okay, whatever the word might be. So now he's already a Gora, certified Gora, whatever. And now he's going to be
proven, maybe.
Proven. Now he's going to be Chayiv Nezek Shalom. So you see, days. That's the point of Abuda, that the pasuk talks about the term of days, not about times. So therefore, he doesn't become a mort unless he go out to read days.
Is there a difference between if they attacks animals or human beings?
As far as
the
damages. He pays for damages. Only no difference if it's a human or if it's a animal. As far as killing, so for killing a human, so you put the shor to death. You kill the shor, even if it's the first time. Right. And if it's the fourth time, it's going to be kofar. That besides the killing the animal, also
the owner.
And you're not going to kill the owner. The pasuk might be installing that, but the pasuk means that he has to pay kofar. Kofar yushas Allah.
If you got a moored animal and the animal kills, it's chayiv nisan.
You might read the pasuk like that, but the pasuk says that he pays kofar, and then that's the value. You don't kill him.
It's like willful murder. It's on the level.
He's only chayiv misa if he killed himself. If an animal killed, he's not chayiv misa. The pasuk says, "V'gam b'alav you must," but right away it says, "Kofar yushas Allah." So this is then of kofar. But the point of the Gemara is that it says, "But days." Rav Meir my time. Where does Rav Meir get that it's even times? The pasuk says days. Rav Meir my time. At the time, the Rav Meir. We take the chosa chayev if he scored with a span of time in between. He's chayev because he agrees to the pasuk. He agrees with what Rabbi Yehuda says, that the pasuk talks about days. But the chiddush is now he's saying kal v'chomer. Kiv nikichos of lakolshke. So kal v'chomer if he did it in the closest span of time. He agrees that the pasuk doesn't say times. The pasuk says days, but he says a kal v'chomer. If he's chayiv, if he did it spread out, so then kal v'chomer he's chayiv. He's more aggressive if he does it on the same day. Rabbi Yehuda has a svara. The Gemara doesn't say it, but Rabbi Yehuda has a svara that maybe that day was a bad day for him, and even though he gored very much on that day, doesn't mean that he's going to do it again. But Rabbi doesn't know that that's svara, and he says that if he's chayiv, even if it's spread out, you might say he's only chayiv if it would have been the same day. If the pasuk would have only said times, you might have thought that only 3 times in the same day. But the pasuk comes to say even if it's spread out, goes also chayiv, and of course even if it's spread out, I think even more than 3 days, even if it would have been in the span of 30 days, does make a difference. Once he gored on his record, they have written down that he gored 3 times, so he's a muad.
So
that's logical. It says kal v'chomer. It doesn't hold the Rabbi Svara that maybe he was in a bad mood that day.
He's not ready to catch this proof.
Yeah, it's only machlokas. It's machlokas only in Svara. Meir can't just prove Rabbi either. Both of them say it's Svara. The older Svara that is a kal v'chomer if chayiv in a lapse of time. It's a kal v'chomer in a less of a lapse of time. Well, on the contrary, maybe that day was a bad day for him, and he can't prove that he's going to do it again. The Gemara does want to prove it from another halacha. I mean, from Svara alone, you wouldn't be able to prove it. They have their different opinions. Amulei, so they want to challenge Rav Meir. I'll show you a case that only in a lapse of days does halacha take effect. and not if it's closer than different days. Zava tochiach. Shericha kavi yasat meya kibar yasat over. Instead of a zava, zava means a woman who's a menstrual blood, but the regular cycle is not more than 7 days. And if she sees past that, how does the pasuk say? Yamim rabim. So then she becomes a zava. And then there's a question of how many days. 1 day is a zava ktana, 2 days. But if she sees 3 days, 3 consecutive days, she becomes a zava gedola. And then that's the din of Shayin Nikim, 7 clean days.
We're trying to learn. We try and learn
if the Kal V'chomer is true or not. We want to know if the Kal V'chomer. So we want to know if this Kal V'chomer is true. Do you say that if you find that in separate days something takes effect, Kal V'chomer takes effect if it's in a shorter span of time? So Rav Meir said Kal V'chomer. The Gemara is going to try to disprove him because you see by Zava, she only becomes a Zava if she saw 3 different days. But if she would have seen 3 times on the same day, that doesn't make her a Zava. That does make her a Zava only if it's 3 different days. You don't say Kal V'chomer. It's interesting if you're talking about the nature of goring, so how could you compare?
Right, that's what
Same
I was
blood.
trying to answer.
But also, the may say is how
Is she gonna see?
how much of a proof is it that she
That's because that she's going to see more. That's going to see more. That she's going to see more. That she might see more blood. Is that the point? Is the point that she's going to see more blood again? And now it's Yamim below Yesni Dasa. So does that mean that she's going to see more times? We're telling her.
More almost in the sickness, she has to be mitrakeh.
And if you're going to say, and if you're going to say Rabbi Meir Svara, so you see that it's even more sick.
3 days and you say she's very sick, you see it's.
And Abuda will say that day she had a bad day, whatever. She was weak that day. It's not right that she's so sick. Okay, so that was the kasha on Rabbi Meir. That you see by Yezabah that if she sees with a lapse of time, on different days, she becomes stomach. But if she saw them on the same day, Kirverio said that they did it close together on the same day, she saw 3 times, Torah. So you see, Kal V'chomer is not true. Amalahen. So Mary said over there, it's a pasuk. You're right. My svara is still true. And you have a kasha. There's a pasuk over there, and you don't learn from that pasuk. I mean, you've said that's that. The next 10 lines is going to just talk about the pasuk. If the pasuk is out of dash from the pasuk, but that's going to be the answer. Rabbi Meir says that's an exception to the rule. This far, my svara is true, and over there it's an exception to the rule. How come you don't learn out from there? That the Gemara doesn't go into. Over there it talks about a zav. A zav is a man who has not blood, but he has an emission that is not, what do we say? It's not called a semen. It's not like carry. It's some kind of a sickness, some kind of a discharge that a man has. I once asked the doctor. They said all kinds of possibilities of daleket that causes a discharge, and
It's not semen.
it's not semen. And they say that somebody said they say that they're right that it's not according to the description of the Gemara that it's not, but so someone has a emission without erection, it's not not ejaculation, it just flows out. Zav, whatever it is. So there's a tumah called the zav, and over there it all depends how many times you saw. Parmishona, Parmishnia, Parmshlishis, and over there it's also 3 days. If he sees 3 days in a row, he says, but there's not dafka of 3 days. If he saw 3 days on this 3 times on the same day, he also becomes a zav. The point of becoming a zav 3 times, or 2 times, or 3 times, over there it's even on the same day. And over there, the Gemara is going to say, you say over there it happens to be that it's it doesn't say over there time. It doesn't say over there days. There's Josh doesn't say days over there, I think. But the Gemara is going to say he's tamei. Right. He's tamei, and then if a 1 time tamei is the same as a balkari, it's not that. But then 2 times he becomes a tumah chamura, and then he needs 7 kiyim. I think even on 2 days, on 3 days even needs a korban 3 times. Then he has to be on korban.
Yes, go to mikvah.
Let's go to even 1 time.
Oh, even 1 time.
Even 1 time, let's go to the mikvah. Who needs mayim chaim? A zav. Zav. Probably even 2 times. A zav.
2 times.
It's 2 times. That's good. It has to go to mayim chaim. So only place in the Torah that a person needs a mikvah of mayim chaim is only a zav.
2 times.
If he saw a ziva 2 times within 2 days, means it can't be if it's 1 and then day 3. So then it doesn't become. I think it has to be that consecutive days. Okay, but anyway, the point is over there. It says that a zav does become a zav even 3 times on the same day, but it says v'zos. The Gemara wants to say the v'zos that the pasuk. Maybe I'm trying to put a pasuk. I missed it still. Here it is. V'zos v'zos t'masol b'savo ro b'savo b'savo achtem b'savo b'savo t'masol he that a zav that the word that the flow from his organ, this emission, or it's sealed off his or is to flow. I think so. Maybe not. The word zav is to flow. Roar. When something is dripping, it's called roar. Like says that his saliva was raw on his beard. So that's the term of a zav, and the person and it says vazos. Vazos means this, and that's coming to exclude something else. So even though the din of a zav is going to be even 3 times in one day, since it says vazos, it's coming to say dafka here, but someplace else not. Here there's a chumrah. Here it's even 3 times in one day, and the vazos tells us only over here, but someplace else not. Well, someplace else by a zava, by a woman that has these missions of blood. So then it's only going to be 3 days. The way the pasuk says, Yamim Rabim, and over there you don't make, and there it's dafka. You don't say over there the kal v'chomer, even though the kal v'chomer would have made sense. Rabbi says my kal v'chomer is true, but the pasuk comes to exclude it because that's the word vazos. Tala kasav ezazav b'riyos v'ezazav b'yamim. The pasuk depends the zav by how many times he saw, and the zava in days.
That's a teretz.
That's a teretz because special pasuk over there. The kasha was
chumrah is by mer. That even
yes, even 3 times in the same day, but it's because of a pasuk. The kasha was. Well, that's not our subject so much. It happens to be this difference between 2 times and 3 times. It becomes more chomer. But the point is that whenever it says by a zav, it doesn't have to be dafka in days. It can even be in times. So if there's a zav, a 2-day zav, it's the same thing. It will be 2 times in the same day. If there's a 3 times zav, it's no difference if it's 3 days or if it would be 3 times in the same day. And that was a kasha of Meir. That the kasha of Meir was by a zava. That over there it's only in days and not in times. If she saw 3 times in the same day, she doesn't become a zava gedola. So the answer is because the pasuk says v'zos is a pasuk by a man that says that it does happen even 3 times in the same day, and the pasuk says v'zos. It only applies over here, only by a man, but by a woman it doesn't. So it's an exception to the rule. That's what amazing answer. It's a pasuk over there's a pasuk that says that she doesn't, even though the Sforah would have told us.
The pasuk says don't learn the kal v'chomer.
Right. The kal v'chomer still makes sense. Not that the kal v'chomer is not logical. Logic is logical, and use it all over the Torah. But here the pasuk says this exception to the rule, and a woman doesn't become a zava in the same day, only 3 days. Counter intuitive.
I'm looking at this pasuk. The isha ki yizov zov hemai min rabbi.
Yes.
Did you have that pasuk?
We didn't talk about it, but we said we did it on our own. That a woman
So what would yamin?
Yamin means days.
Yamin would be 2 days.
And Rabim is 3. So she becomes a zava if she sees. We're not there. That's the end of Nesachas Nida. That's not our subject. We just want to know whatever it says doesn't have to be days or even times. So it says days. So Amir will say kal v'chomer times. If she becomes a zava in 3 times, 3 days, she saw 3 days in a row. So kal v'chomer if she saw 3 times in one day. So we point to Amir. What do you say? So he says over there is a pasuk. So it's exception to the rule. And what's the vazos? The vazos says by a man that this din that happens 3 times in one day is only by a man, not by a woman. The Gemara says, but you should know by a man it's also time in 3 days. Also, it doesn't have to be 3 times in one day. You don't just say 3 times in one day, even 3 times in 3 days. We might die vazos lamute zav emirios emilamute zav b'yamim. Maybe the vazos is coming to say that the din that I told you that a zav becomes a zav 3 times, maybe only times, v'zos, only the way I'm saying it, that a zav becomes a zav 3 times in the same day. But if it will be spread out, it will be 3 times in 3 days. Maybe a man doesn't become a zav. And the truth is that a man becomes a zav either way, either 3 days or once every day, or 3 times in one day. There's a pasuk that says, when it talks about the zav and a zav, it puts them in the same together. It puts it together, a zav and a zava, a man and a woman.
What? This is all in parentheses.
The Gemara is not satisfied with the drasha here. It's not a parentheses because if we can knock it down, so then it's not true. The vazos won't be telling you that dafka man not a woman. So then they come back to the kash again to say that the kal v'chomer by the woman. Maybe it's a flavor of when you put a parentheses, because it is still attacking what we said. So the Gemara is asking, maybe just use the vazos to tell you that a man doesn't become a zav only if he sees on the same day. What says vazos? Gemara says, no, you can't use vazos for that, because on the contrary, the pasuk says there's no difference between a man and a woman. And that tells us, the pasuk compares a man and a woman. Just like a woman could become a zava in 3 days, so to a man also in 3 days. So we're not going to say that vazos is coming to tell you that a man is dafka times and not days. But who said? The Gemara is saying, who tells you if you have a choice which way to darshan? So who tells you which one is the right drasha? Maybe say the opposite drasha to say that a man and woman are similar, that both of them become tamei on the same day. 3 times in the same day, and you're telling me that a woman doesn't become tummy 3 times in the same day? No, I'm here one of the zos. You have a zos that says after what it says, and don't say that they're comparable. It means on one hand you have a pasuk that says that man and woman are comparable. The other one says that they're different. So the Gemara is telling us we're going to learn now that the man is the same as the woman, just like she becomes tummy in days, so too he becomes tummy in days. And we're going to say that they're different, that only a man becomes tummy in times, 3 times in the same day, and a woman does not. And now the Gemara says, Amara is who told you what to do? You have a choice. You can do the opposite. You can say that a woman becomes tummy both days and times, and a man is only in times and not in days. Who told you to make the drasha that the way you did it? The answer is Mustavra, Kavirias, Mamai Rios. Kavirias, Mamai Yamim. That's like with a question, exclamation, the nigga has to be. You say such a thing. When the pasuk, there's a Svara tells us that since it's the pasuk, and the pasuk we're talking about, where it says Bezos, is talking about times. This pasuk is talking about they saw 3 times. But the drush is going to say, whatever the drush is going to be extra words over here. Zovo, it says there was Zovo 3 times, they learned 3 times. But it's talking about times, not about days. And when it says Bezos, it means Nafka, this is times, and something else is not times. That's the nuance of when the pasuk is telling you a miyut that it doesn't apply Bezos, Nafka what it says. So then the Sfar would say that whatever it's talking about, that's what I come to say Nafka this, and not something else. But it wouldn't come to tell you. It wouldn't tell you that days don't apply to us. Then it would have put the pasuk someplace else. Since with the pasuk subject of the sentence is about times, Eos, times that he saw. So when the pasuk says bezos, it means not over here. There's times, and other places there's not. And that's the end of the sugya. Oh, I'm happy. There's a kasha mayor that if his kal v'chomer is true, it should apply also to a zava to say just like if kal v'chomer, that if she becomes tummy in 3 days, so she should become tummy 3 times in 1 day. And then says there's a pasuk over there. The Gemara to go to explain how come we dash the pasuk that way, maybe dash it differently. And the Gemara explained to us successfully that that's the only way to dash it. That a zav becomes tummy even in times, but a woman does not. So the mayor still holds his ground.
That's good for more for an animal that is more.
I wasn't
3
speaking.
times.
It says my svara is the more try to knock down the svara. The pasuk says times. Tomorrow shulshon
With chocolate.
Mitmol says talking about times, about days. I'm sorry, and then Meir says make a kavachomer. The more trying to challenge this kavachomer, you see by your zava, it's not like that. She's only coming in 3 days, but not in 3 times in 1 day. And the Gemara says over there it's an exception because of the pasuk.
Yeah, mine.
But as far as still
This time it's all ground up already.
Oh, you're bringing it in. It's plenty here if you want.
Yeah, but sometimes you mix a little more and it's a different flavor. You want it? You don't want it?
Sure.
Okay.
the Gemara continues. So we have machlokes of Meir Abuda. Back to the Mishnah. We had an explanation of the psukim, Abayin Rava, saying it's not machlokes over there, much more darshanik benayim. And back to the machlokes, if it's days or even times. Tanu Rabbanan, Ezeh Muad, Kol Sheidu Bo Shlosha Yomim. That sounds like Rabbi Yehuda, Dafka days. The tam, how does it go back to become a tam again? Sheyehuti no, because as we explained, even if in 1 day he could revert back to becoming a tam by the children provoking him, and he doesn't react. Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi took both kulas. He took the kula of Rabbi Yehuda, took the kula of Rabbi Meir. As far as becoming a tam, a muad, I'm sorry, he has the kula that he only becomes more than 3 days. And 1 day we'll say he was in a bad mood. But to become a tam, he does hold the leniency that it could become a speed, how do they call it? Speed dating,
expedited.
He becomes tame in 1 day. So he takes both kulas. And Rabbi Meir viewed in the Mishnah, each one had a chumrah and a kula. Here, Rabbi took both kulas. He said they become a mood only in 3 days, not in 3 times. But he could become a tam in a speed course that in 3 days, in 3 times, in 1 day, the kids were bothering him and he didn't react. That shows that he's a tam. Rabbi Shimon, he says both chumras. Rabbi Shimon Omer, calls you the bosh shlosha pam. He also chumrah that he becomes a muad even 3 times in the same day. But the din of 3 days applies to retracting, becoming a tam again. And over there, he doesn't say the speed course of becoming by the children bothering him, and he doesn't react. Only 3 days. So he takes both chumras. So we have Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda, and the Mishnah has a chumrah, a kula by becoming a muad and a kula by becoming and a chumrah. Sorry, he has a kula by becoming a muad and a chumrah to become a tam. It has to take 3 days to become a tam. Rav Meir is the opposite. He says that there's a chumrah to become a muad even in 3 times in the same day, but he also has a kula that he can become a tam in 1 day if he shows himself that he's tame. And Rabbi Yossi takes both kulas, and Rabbi Shimon takes both chumras.
Rabbi Yossi takes a Muslim. Okay.
In the chumrah to become a top, there's a muad ox, and then the next day it doesn't gore anybody,
Even though it had the opportunity to.
and then the day after that it didn't.
And then the 3rd day it didn't.
The third day it didn't.
He becomes a tam. And now it's gored on the 4th day.
And you don't say last week it gored and it was a muad.
No, because he showed himself that he lost his bad nature. He did tshuva. He lost his bad nature. And
Where do we find the damn? Where do we find the animal?
no, it has to do with instinct. Doesn't have to do with
He went
tshuva.
back to
It needs to do with
his-
instinct. Tame nature.
He went back to his
Tame nature.
and others say he can
Freshen
lose
Speed.
his tame nature in the
By
day,
proving
and he
right.
can gain it the day.
Right. And they talk about, I saw that the Aspro, I didn't go into the question, but I saw Aspro passing, I was looking for something.
That's
So they
only
said,
Rabbi,
that's the subject over here, Meir Yehuda, Shimon, Rabbi Yossi, all talking about this subject.
Rabbi
How long
Meir
does
is
it
the
take?
most, you can lose it in a day and you can gain it. That's Rabbi Meir, right?
Right.
He could gore 3 times today.
1 day he became a Moor. And then he could show
and then
himself.
the next day, the kids could play with him and he's not doing anything, and he's Tom again.
Right, maybe even the same day, I'm not sure. The same as
Maybe
the
even the
same
same
day. And
Meaning
in the
that-
morning, he gored 3 times.
Now,
So
he
he's a
goes by
Moor.
the number
And then
3.
the kids started provoking him, and he didn't do anything. Maybe
Sounds
even
like
the
he
same
holds
day.
by the
But
by the actual mikra,
I
but
think
not by the
you'd have to sleep on it.
if he's
Rebbe, sorry,
three
just to
times,
clarify, that's
might have
3
one
separate situations, or is it
Both
one
are-
rampage that he gores 3 people?
That was the shell, and
I was asking that if it was it was 3 times in the same day, but it was not much 1 time. It was 3 people in the
situation.
same rush. Maybe that's I don't know. I would have thought that it's also considered
Yeah,
3 times and
that's
3
okay.
times in the same day. I think so. Chaim Dav, what were you saying?
I'm saying that by the mayor, it's like he doesn't hold by the time factor, he comes by the mikra factor.
I'm not sure
How
how
many
many
times
times.
did it take place?
No, I'm not
So
sure he said
3
time.
times
What
in
is
one
time?
day.
What is
3 times in one day already makes him a more.
right? That's what we said.
And
That's the Mishnah. And the
3
question was the
times
pasuk talks
that he
about
doesn't
days.
get angry, even if it's for one
It
day.
doesn't say 3 times. It says if the children provoke him, that's
3 times.
no, it doesn't say that.
What does it say?
That the children provoke him, and he stays like a goylem. That means that he's tame.
Even one time?
Because they're provoking him, they're pulling his ear, they're pulling his tail, and he stays calm. That means
Even one
that
time?
yes, because that's very extreme. That's very extreme. Okay,
So we have 1, 2, 3.
so we have 4 opinions.
Okay. 4 opinions.
Amr Rav Nachman Amr Rav Ada bar Abba, Lochak Rav Yehuda b'Muad. Rav Ada bar Abba, Paskin like Rav Yehuda b'Muad, which is the leniency that he doesn't become a Muad until he goes 3 different days. 3 times in 1 day is not going to make him a Muad. Shari Rav Yossi Modelo, because Rav Yossi agrees to him by a Muad. So you have that leniency that he doesn't become a Muad until 3 days. And we so like 2 against 1. Initially, the Gemara thinks that Rav Abba's way of judging is because how many Tanam do you have? So by the case, let's say we have Rav Meir Yehuda, and then Rav Yossi came. Rav Yossi is going to be like what's that?
Tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker. That was 1 against 1. But now, as far as coming a Muad, it's 2 against 1 because Rav Yossi takes sides with Rav Yehuda, and he holds like Rabbi Meir to be Mekel by becoming a Tam again, to revert back to become a Tam, because again it's 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Rav Yossi took Rav Yehuda's side by becoming a Muad, and he took Rav Meir's side becoming a Tam. So he paskin like Rav Yehuda by the leniency, and like Rav Meir by his leniency.
Who said that?
Rav Nachman Amar Rav Rabbi. And the Gemara,
Because of what Rabbi Yossi
Yossi,
held,
because-
so he thought that's.
because he broke the tie. That's the way to say it, the tiebreaker. Nice. But the Gemara says that that's the only consideration. So Rav Shimon is also a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Amar le Rav Rav Nachman, le Mamar Lachak Rav Meir b'Muad Shari Rav Shimon Modelo, v'Lachak Rav Yehuda b'Tam Shari Rav Shimon Modelo. If your whole cheshbon is only having 2 against 1, so why put Rav Yossi to be the tiebreaker? Rav Shimon should be the tiebreaker, and it should be l'chumra that by Muad he's machmir that they can become a Muad even 3 times in 1 day like Rav Meir. And by a time he's machman like Yehuda that he can't become 1 day. He has to have 3 days. So he told him, I don't mean that. I know Rabbi Yossi is really Rabbi Yossi the Mukim. I didn't mean to say because he's a tiebreaker. I meant to say because he's Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, we pass like Rabbi Yossi. Unless we let halacha, we pass like Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Yehuda. Against Rabbi Shimon, surely, even against Rabbi Yehuda. It goes in the Gemara in Eruvin that Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, halacha Rabbi Yossi. Halacha Rabbi Yossi is against. Who is?
Rabbi Yossi.
Oh,
You could say he's against Rabbi.
So you have to talk each halacha by itself. Each halacha by itself.
Right.
So Rabbi Yossi happens to be halachas like Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Yehuda. The halachas like Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Meir. The halachas, did I say it right? Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yossi wins against any one of these three. Rabbi Yehuda wins against Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Meir and Shimon seem to be a tie. We don't know. So here, the Gemara meant to say really not I'm passing because 2 against 1. I'm passing because it's Rabbi Yossi. So therefore, it's not a kasha. How come he doesn't pass like Rabbi Shimon? He doesn't pass like Rabbi Shimon. He passes like Rabbi Yossi, and that's the halacha. Pass like Rabbi Yossi. So you have a leniency by becoming a muad, and a leniency by becoming a tam. Either way would work. That become a tam, to become a muad only in 3 days. 3 times in 1 day, we'll say he was in a bad mood. He's only considered 1 negich, has to be 3 separate times, and the leniency becoming a tam. That if he showed that he's so tame that the kids are bothering him and he still stays tame, that's the right. That is a tam. So we get all the leniency.
3 days, right? He's not going to
Yes,
argue.
right.
If he didn't have any tinoks around, wait 3 days.
Right.
But
3 days. That every day somebody he had opportunity to go and he didn't go. Right.
oh, there has to be the opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity. He kept him in the cage, and then he said, "Oh, you see, he didn't go for 3 days. That's nothing. It has to be an opportunity. Like a person says, I never stole in my life because he never had opportunity to steal. It has to be that he has the opportunity and he didn't do it. That's
So there were
called
other animals around.
the animals around, and he didn't go. Till now, he saw an animal, he gored. Now he didn't. So you see that he's getting good nature. There's machlokes I saw. They bring down from the Rishonim machlokes. If the point we're talking about is that it proves what he is, or it makes him. Is it forming his nature, or is it proving what his nature is? In this whole sugya, becoming a muad, does it mean that he gored 3 times and now he became a muad, or this proved that he's a muad? It proved that that's his nature from the beginning, maybe. They talk about the lumdus over here, or by becoming a tam. Does it mean that he is able to hold himself back once? He held himself back a second time, a third time. No, he changed his nature. Or does it mean that it shows it's a proof that that's what his nature is because he had time to prove it 3 times? So that's already something that the Rishonim talk about. There's an interesting thing about Achal Ma'aseh they bring from this Gemara, famous. All the Rebbeim talk about it when they teach in the 6th grade. That the halach is that when you daven and you have to change Mashu Rucham or Geshem or Datal, Saint Talamotov or Saint Rocha. So it talks about 30 days. That if you, within 30 days, if you're not sure what you said, you have to assume that you did according to your road. And after 30 days, you can assume that you changed it and now you got the new road and you have a suffix. So you could assume you said it the right way. So there's they talk about
maybe?
forgot who the names are. And Maram Wittenberg, I'm not sure, that maybe you could do a speed course. That in 1 day, that's how people, so it says they brought down this Eitzah, that maybe on Shmini Atzeres, you're going to say 90 times, whatever it might be, whatever it is, 30 days period, 30 days worth of
Some say for 101.
that maybe you can change in 1 day. You can do a speed course to change your way. That since you were used to, so that's the question. They bring this Gemara maybe that this thing of Rabbi Meir, based on Rabbi Meir, that we hold like Rabbi Meir at this point, not about a muad but becoming a tam. Interesting. I'm not sure. We don't pass like Rabbi Meir. The course of Chayiv, given the course of the Koshka, we don't pass like that. We pass that only can become a muad in 3 days. But based on this Gemara, that's they apply it also to Mashruch Gemara Geshem or the Saint Talamota if it's a way to get used to it. It's also touches on this stuff we just said, is the point to get used to change your nature or to prove your nature. That they're sure that we don't say that because he did it so many times, now he changed his nature, but that this proves that was nature had changed already. That has nothing to do with our case about the same time.
Well, it seems like if they don't change, then that would prove the nature. But if there's a change, then how can you say that's the nature? I'm not quite getting it. If it's proving the nature.
That has nothing to do with
he gored twice, he gored to prove that he's a muad.
From the beginning. Prove he's a muad. from the beginning, really. He's really a wild ox.
He
We didn't
really
know
was
about
a
it.
wild, and now it proved it, and we
Right.
just gave him, okay, fine.
Right.
And then if that's, and he lives his life as a muad, then that's fine, then I would agree. But then what happens after 3 days that he didn't do it?
That shows that he changed his nature from the before he
How
started.
does a cow change his nature from goring to not being goring?
He thinks about it, or
And that's why the whole thing, like bringing it into a man.
how did the man do
or
it?
something,
How-
a man isn't supposed to change his nature. We're
Maybe
created to
it could be.
change
How
our
did it
nature.
happen? Maybe the owner had a stick and he taught him what happens when he gores, and they do that. I know that the
Oh, yeah,
animal
the
care they
top
take
of,
care.
what do you
They have a
condition?
metal stick, and they teach him. Donkey, you do not.
Use
Don't,
lasers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they teach them. So maybe how did he do it? I don't know. But they trained the
Uh-huh.
animal. Now that he had 3 opportunities that he did not gore, is that because he got used to not goring, or it just proves to us that he changed his nature? How did he change his instinct? Maybe there was outside help, whatever the case might be. But that's as if you say that the point is only that all this is only to teach us what his nature was from the beginning, or from the beginning of this process. So then it wouldn't apply so much to our case of for Saint Talamata, because you're trying to change your nature, not proving that your nature has already changed.
Yes.
But it's all this they talk about. I think they bring down Mishabura that it's better not to do the speed course because some don't hold of it. Means if you did it,
Some don't hold it.
some hold that it's not a right. Means if you have a suffix after
I
you did
think,
this,
correct me if I'm wrong, you could check your nature. Do you,
Well, no,
Oh,
so
we're
let's
talking
say you
about-
have a suffix. You did a speedway,
Is
and
that
then you
enough?
have a suffix. What did I do? the
right. So
right
some
way?
will say that you could assume that you
Less
changed
than
your way.
30
So
days,
less than 30 days, yes, 30 days, right? Less than 30 days, but you did the speed course,
and now you're not
and
sure.
now you're not sure. So some will say you could assume you did it the right way. Some will say you can't assume. They're arguing on this point.
They're arguing this.
So
You
therefore, the
can't assume
Mishabura
that you
says don't
changed.
get. The Mishabura says don't get involved. Better don't get involved than
Don't get involved, meaning don't
don't
try
do
it.
this trick.
I
Don't do
once did this
thing.
trick and then I tested myself, and it worked.
How do you test yourself?
How do you test yourself?
Then you're conscious.
To test myself,
And it's sleep.
the next what do you call it? Next time I davened phenomenon, I wasn't thinking about. I didn't test myself on purpose. I was a shliach but I didn't, and I wasn't thinking, and I said naturally the right thing.
Could be Shliach was not right.
Ah.
Because the person has a self-consciousness.
Or you could take Bishmanesa, if you daven biyachad, you could take it.
So you're
And you have to get at a time when you're not
At the end of your sleep
you have
cycle.
to listen to yourself when you're not thinking.
That's the end of your career. Yeah, that's the end of your career as a sleep keyboard.
Ah, yeah.
Or thinking.
You can't test yourself. You test yourself, you're already conscious.
No, I wasn't testing myself. After davening, I realized I just said saying Talamata without people correcting me. No, I wasn't testing.
I understand. After the fact.
So I realized that no one corrected me. It must be I did it right.
You automatically did it.
Okay, and then I come over. So he passed like a Yossi, which
So we
is
do pass
both,
it like
like
Rabbi
Yossi,
Yossi.
both leniencies.
3 days, takes 3 days to become.
More than it could do a speed course to become a town. A speed, not a
Yes, the
speed course. A
score would
speed,
be some animal that gores 3 times in a day could just be having an off.
right. That's the reason that Rabbi
He's
will
just
make that
having
he's not a
wild
mood. He's
that
not a
day,
mood. Right.
Possibly.
Right. And you don't say the Kavachom about me.
I wonder what it would work regarding a license and driving. If the police catch you 3 times and we get the same
We're
amount of
not-
points as
If you read it 3 times in the same day, you had a bad day today.
Animal was driving.
Iboilu, question. Shlosh Yom Diktani, Liyude Tu Alu Gabra. I didn't learn this from Chavusa, so I'm shaky. So we'll do it together. I might have a lot of questions here.
What did they ask?
Iboilu, Shlosh Yom, the 3 days. We're coming out 3 days now. To make him into a muad, like Rav Yehuda, Rav Yossi, the Yehude Tura or the Yehude Gabra. Is that to make the ox into a muad or to make the man into a muad? Means the owner. And the point is that the ox, by going 3 times, you see that as a wild ox, or the man that ignored the warning. You have to warn the owner, and he was warned, and he ignored the warning. Again, the warning 3 times he didn't watch it even. So then the owner became a muad. That's what the word seemed to mean.
About this ox.
About this ox, right? Right. You're not going to make other ox, and they weren't. Oh, it's only because the ox is a wild ox, and he's still. Yeah, you have to add that on. That the ox is wild, and also the owner ignored the warning.
3 times it gored.
Is the purpose to show that now the ox is wild, and that's all you need, or is it in order to show that the owner ignore the three
It's
warnings.
not ignores the three warnings.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm not sure, maybe it's partial, but I didn't get why the Gemara is only going with Shlosha Yamim, the 3 days. If it hold 3 times, it could have been the same question before. Is the purpose to make the shore into a muad? I could be I'm saying nonsense, but I'm just trying to.
No, because they're going like.
Happens to be okay. Happens to be, but he's saying
We said
okay, but he's saying the question could have applied to Meir also, even if it is 3 times.
Yes.
Is it 3 times to make the ox into a muad, or to make that the owner ignore the warning 3 times? Okay, the mind of Kamina. What will be the difference between these 2 studying? That's by the way, the word Yehude. What is the whole muad? The whole word muad. What does it mean? So some say that it means to testify. Some say it means to warn. And the Chor is to warn, WARN, to warn. And yeah, you had some questions. Just to point out that the pasuk is also in last week's parsha. That Yehuda told Yaakov that the man, he knows Yosef, he warned us. I mean, testify is the word testify. It makes more sense in the reading that it means to warn. So the word muad is also going to be a warn, the warned ox. Maybe the other pshatim, but that seems to be at least one pshat that the word muad means warned.
But it could be that they warned the person.
They're warning it.
So you have to warn the person. You have to warn him. You have to warn him. He has to know about it. Just because the ox scored 3 times and the owner doesn't know about it, the Chorah is questioned that he's not going to become a muad because the owner doesn't know about it.
Okay.
Okay, the Gemara is going to say right away about the nafkaminah.
Yeah.
The man nafkaminah is the different. What's the difference between these 2 studim? Those who tlasa kitei sadi b'chad yom, 3 groups of Eidim came on one day.
3 groups
of Eidim
aiding.
came on one day. That means that the ox scored in 3 different days. And 3 groups of Eidim or 3, it doesn't make a difference if the 3 different Eidim or the same group of Eidim came 3 times.
Yeah.
And on Sunday he gored, Monday he gored, Tuesday he gored, but they came to warn the owner on the after that, all that happened. And they said, you should know, Mr. Owner, your ox gored on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you say the purpose of the warnings is to show that the ox is a gorer miyayid, so it becomes a muad because now the owner knows that his ox is a gorer because he gored on 3 different days. But if you hold that the owner has to be warned, he doesn't become a muad.
It's going to be a double mazik. It's going to be a mazik per shuta rabbi. He can do what he wants.
I'm not sure, but I'm just going to say first what it says. Then, if you say that Liu de Gabra, so it doesn't become a muad because he says, you just told me now. You just told me one time, which I will translate. That means I didn't muad. So I didn't ignore 3 warnings. I have to have ignored 3 warnings. I only ignored. Now, if it's going to gore, you can't come to me. You ignore 3 warnings. You're muad for ignoring warnings. I only ignored 1 warning, even though they told him that he already gored 3 times. But I only showed negligence in my
why in terms of the payment of the vow he can get.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about if it's not in Nezek,
but the animal is still a moed.
It's only
it's a moed. It's a danger. It's a mazik the rabbi.
But you can't charge the owner for it.
I understand
that's the subject over here. Is he chayiv chatzin nezek and nezek shalom me'aliyah?
Yeah.
So that's the question. That's the question.
Isn't it obvious that if when he got warned that you're going?
But I only ignored it one.
It means like
they told him, you should know you have a dangerous ox. Make sure you watch your ox because you should know that he's a gorer.
Because on Sunday they said we saw that you're.
No, they told him on Wednesday. They told him Tuesday. What?
I thought we had 3 copies.
They all came on Wednesday.
They all came on Wednesday.
And they told him that the one group says we saw him on Sunday. The second group says we saw him on Monday. The second group, third group says on Tuesday. And today is Wednesday.
One
judge says muad.
So that's the question. One was either 2 means a muad. He held the gaba. He only was warned once. Right. The first time, if it comes on Wednesday and gores, so then he says that's my first offense. I ignored the warning 1 time. Right. I could hear that there are 3 warnings right now. We're giving you 3 warnings. 1, 2, 3. You have warned 3 times because he got 3 times. What doesn't look at it like that? I'm not sure the whole concept of the days. The whole point of the days was as far as the ox, that he was in a bad mood, not in a bad mood, but as far as the owner, he has sechel. You tell him that your ox scored 3 times. Why doesn't it become why isn't it like Yudi Gabra? He has to have shown that he ignored the warning 3 times. If he knows that his ox is a goy and he such a dangerous shore and he ignores it, Why is that not enough? The Gemara says no, that you have to have 3 days of the owner, or
Owner,
that the owner ignored the warning.
I think the same afternoon would be if he gored every day last week and on Sunday the following week, they say he gored every day last week, meaning Nezek. So the first 3 times he'd be a Tam, the third time he'd be the fourth and fifth time would be a Moor.
I didn't find out about
If
it.
you found out the week later.
How could it be? You didn't find out about it. You didn't know about it.
Okay, that's the same afternoon.
No, I don't think so, because surely the owner has Loish Renu Balav. I have it down. I didn't see it. That Taisa says this point. Some Taisa says from somebody that he'd be chayiv. Even Taisa says for sure not, because he has to have been warned. The time for sure is on the owner that he knew. So if the owner didn't know, he's not going to become a movement.
This is what my problem with that is that we're not worried about the first 3 times. Either way, he's a half payment. He's paying half.
We want to know, did he become a muad now? For the next time.
I'm saying that is he getting a triple warning for the next time is going to be a full payment. That's what
That's good. That's the side. That's one side. The other side is that he has to have transgressed 3 warnings.
why is this kasha on Rabbi Meir? It seems Rabbi Meir is no problem.
There's no kasha. There's a question. It's not a kasha. She'ela.
It doesn't seem like it's a she'ela for him.
Why? Rabbi Meir says
He
even.
said that if it did 3 times, doesn't matter when.
Right, so that's why I started asking.
So now
What the
if
Gemara
it's
says.
Wednesday, and this in cut 1 says
The Gemara says.
1, 2, 3. So
right, so
then you got 3 times.
he is.
But he still didn't transgress 3. I asked the question when we started. I wanted to know when the Gemara says Shlosh Yamim Diktani, the Gemara is going on the Yamim. So I asked why talk about Yamim. So everybody told me.
Here's the Shitas Rabbi Yehuda.
But I also could have asked it. I want to know if the Gemara could have asked the same question according to Rabbi, which Leib Yaakov was asking now, could applies to it. So I would have thought yes. I'll just present what I would have thought, that even according to Rabbi, that he could become a more than 1 day. He gored 3 times without telling the owner, and then they told the owner. So if you hold that the owner has to transgress 3 warnings, so he doesn't become a muad because he only heard it once for the first time. What's the difference if you have days or times? If you hold that you have to warn the ox has to have gored 3 times, so you gore 3 times in the same day. But the owner was only transgressed 1 warning if he's going to let the ox gore again.
Why is that 1 warning?
Yeah.
Because the same way according to
There's a group that says 10 a.m. he gored. Now you have that one.
They didn't tell him. No, they didn't tell him. They told him only 6 o'clock in the evening. They told him 11, 12, and 1. But they only told him once now. So now the same thing as the Gemara is saying. What's the difference about days or times? That's as far as the ox. If we assume that he had a bad day today. But as far as the point of the Gemara, the owner has to transgress 3 warnings. So even if you hold that it becomes a more 3 times in the same day.
Between 11 and 12, I didn't have a warning. Between 12 and 3, I didn't have a warning.
Right.
So now at 6 o'clock, you're telling me that these 3 things happened.
Right.
So now I have a warning.
Right. So I can see the Gemara asking also contra Meir, even though the Gemara is talking about the Yehuda language.
Practical to give to go to Bezdin only once a day.
Hi, how are you?
Practical that he went to Bezdin only once a day.
One thing.
What?
That's because I took a shower.
Oh, good, he didn't yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna close it. Oh, you ate some herring.
But
Yes.
my problem is that we're not worried about the first 3 warnings. We're worried about the 4th time.
Yes.
He's now been warned entirely for 3.
So the Gemara has it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying what I think, but the Gemara seems to say there's a tzad that is only viable for becoming a muad if he transgressed 3 warnings. Now we say you're a frequent transgressor. Better word. You're a transgressor because we told you once, we told you twice, we told you 3 times. But if you just told me once, even if you tell me that my ox is very wild, but you only told me once. So now if but I only transgressed 1 warning.
It's Chaim David's question.
I'm not denying
preempting the 4th. All these things are still in time to preempt the 4th.
Yes, we know. Yes. So the Gemara said that only if he transgressed 3 warnings. There might be other ways of explaining the Gemara. This is one way.
So you have been warned.
Okay, not a Gemara. That's Gemara's question. And I just pointed out, is it a question only according to Rabbi Yehuda, or maybe even according to Rabbi Meir? Toshma. So here comes the Bryce. The first part of the Bryce I think is not relevant to us. We have to know it, but it's not relevant to our subject. That the show doesn't become only if the warning was done in front of the owner. They warned the owner, and Bezdin. You have to have Bezdin also. You have to take the owner to Bezdin and warn him in front of Bezdin. It's not enough to warn him either of Eidim.
Let's go to his house and say, look what your cow did.
Or not look, with testifying to you that your cow, warning number one. So he says, no, there's no Bezdin over here. So then we have Eidim. No, it has to be in front of Bezdin. Bezdin and also the owner. Means you can't get a cow to Bezdin and say, well, Ruvain's short to court. Not going to bring him to court. And we want to hear in front of the Bezdin. Either, and the price emphasizes it, either Bob B'fnei Bezdin, Shlob B'fnei Bailam, or B'fnei Bailam, Shlob B'fnei Bezdin, and in Asamua, that's either Bob B'fnei Bezdin, B'fnei Bailam. It emphasizes it that one of them is not good enough. Even if they warned them in front of Bezdin without the owner being there, or they warned in front of the owner without the Bezdin being there, it doesn't become a muad until they warned them in front of the Bezdin and in front of the owner. So it's a halacha we have to know. This is important, but it doesn't have to do with our question and answer over here. So now we get to the end of the price, and that's going to be relevant to the question of Lidei Torah, probably Torah with a aleph at the end, that means a shore, or Gabra,
Or
or the man, or Gabra. Torah or Gabra. Those are the two choices. You see the pink? The Torah or the Gabra. Those are the two choices. Good.
sorry, in general, in the Bill translation is a
Shit, that's what I said. Yeah.
what's good with Gabra?
Gabra is not a Torah. There's a Torah and there's a Gabra. There's an ox and there's a man. That's the question. What does it show? The price continue on Zomimim. Zomimim, we know that they that testified to make somebody liable of some punishment, and then they were proven that they weren't even there. So then they get the punishment that they would have that they tried to put onto this person. They do Shnai b'Rishon, Shnai b'Shlishis, Harekan Shalosh Edios, Ve'nei Desachas La'azama. If 3 different pairs of Edim testified against him about 3 different gorings, 2 people testified about the first goring, 2 people testified about the second goring, 2 people testified about the third goring. They're considered 3 testimonies, but in one and individual, each one is an individual group as far as some things go, but as far as other things go, they're considered one. As far as Azama goes, each edus alone was enough to make him chayiv chatzi nezek. And the first goring is chayiv chatzi nezek. Second, if it would have been false edim, what did they do? They tried to make him chayiv chatzi nezek, and really he was not there. So they have to pay chatzi nezek. And the second group is also that they testified he gored a second time, so they would have made him chatzi nezek. And if they were found to be false edim, so they have to pay him chatzi nezek that they wanted to. And the third one, the same thing. But altogether, if they looked at a combination, all 3 of them made him into a muad. And now he's a shomud, which is going to have ramifications if he goes a 4th time. But you have to have all 3 of them in order to make him a muad. Each one individually was enough to be mechayiv from chatzi nezek for whatever they testified. The first cow, the second cow, the third cow. But as far as becoming a muad, it's only because all the 3 of them together, because he had gored 3 times. So.
And then what happened? And then Adam came, say that he gored a 4th time. And now he's going to be chayav nezek shalei.
Right.
And then afterwards, they were amazing the first.
Right. So this is bringing the point. The Gemara is going to talk about it as if they're only 3. And this lends itself a little bit to Rashi that the 3rd time they're already chayiv, but Rashi says we said before. But Taisa says you don't have to go into that. The value of the shore, this is just to get out of this problem, that the value of the shore became less when he's a muad. The shore muad is worth less than a shore tam. So
once it has the 3,
so they managed to damage him by making him into a shore muad. Or you could throw that there was a 4th. Right, even though he didn't go yet, because already making him the muad. Or you could talk about that he gored a 4th time, but
all 6 people are
liable for conspiracy to make him into a
one
muad.
person lied. They're all going to be.
No, if one person lied, the other people didn't lie. But if all of them would be proven, that's what the Bryce is going to say, that if all of them were proven to be Zomimim, so then they jointly wanted to make him into a muad. So they're all going to have to suffer the punishment.
Are they going to share the full price for
whatever loss they caused them by making him into a muad, they're all together.
But that's obvious. I thought there was some. It's obvious if they all let's get this guy. You say he gored once. You say he gored twice. So then that's like a typical.
So we'll see the case now, and then we're going to analyze it if it shows anything about the two the Gabra. So that's the Bryce first says that they consider 1 and 3 and explains. What if the first group of Adam, the one who testified that he gored 1 time, they were proven to be liars. There are 2 testimonies. What does it
two
mean?
left.
Two left. Two left.
There must be
I
two
guess so.
left,
Two
two
left.
good ones left,
Two left.
because they were zoning, so now he's still a muad. I mean, he's still a tom. The cow would still be a tom.
Who Potter? Vehein Peturim. The
The first cod is Potter, and
I
there,
don't think so. I think the who means the owner of the gorer, the shore that he's being the victim, the one, not the victim, who's the one who's being testified against? What's he going to be called? The one that we're not sure if he's a Muslim, maybe a lying, but this Ruvain that they came against this person, and
he's going
what do
to
they call it? What do they call when they have somebody that they think he's guilty, but they're not? He hasn't been proven guilty yet.
be accused.
The accused. Okay, so the accused, he's Potter for what? For what is he Potter? Who Potter means the accused?
You had all three of them.
He's not a muad because he wasn't a muad, because
Because
one out of the three is off. Vehein Peturim, I'm not sure, but they're Potter. I'm sorry that I didn't get it straight.
And I would think cod 2 and 3 are Potter because they didn't.
So it's not like this.
They didn't cause him to be muad either.
Now, if they said something, you did. Because who you the question, unless you know more than the states.
Rashi explained when it first says they're Gimel Edios and they're also Edus Achas, that Gimel Edios means they're considered three separate Edus as far as if one gets knocked off, the other ones don't get knocked off, and they're still going to be good Edim. And this is the case that one of them was proven. The first thing the Gemara says, one of them was proven Zomimim, the other two are still around. They're considered one Achas, one Lazama, that you need all three of them to become a Muad, and therefore, if one, this is the first case, Nimches can't be shown as Omemes, if one, the first group was found to be Zom, who put them with Shlichas or Revius, he, the accused, doesn't have to pay for the Muad act because he wasn't a Muad. Hain means the Edom Zomerman, that's what they mean. They say who means the accused, then Hain means the Edom Zomerman. They're Potter. Why are they Potter? Who means the accused? And Hain means the Edom Zomerman. And that's always, and the Marcus, whenever it says who Hain, it always means that. Who means the person who was accused, and Hain means the Edom Zomerman. So the Zomerman are Potter from what? For paying for the Muad. Even though they caused him to become a Muad.
That's the whole thing they wanted to make him.
Right. Well, they also wanted to make him pay Chatzinezik for the damage that they invented. They said he got an ox. He really didn't. But if he did, he'd have to pay Chatzinezik for that. And also he'd become a Muad for the fourth time. So they're part of Edom Zoman of that part because in Edom Mishalman Moment, that they don't have to pay for becoming, only if all of them were found guilty. That's halacha in Edom Zoman, even if one of them, some of them, you have two Edom or four Edom. And one of them was proven to be a zombie. He was someplace else. He was in Ashkelon. He wasn't even here. So he doesn't have to pay the punishment only if all data became zombie. So here, so as far as
he's gonna have to pay Hatzinezik.
For what? Yeah, who has to pay? Who has to pay Hatzinezik? They have to pay because they wanted to make him.
Because they wanted to make him
pay Hatzinezik for this thing that never really happened.
Yeah.
And as far as that, they're considered one group. They're considered an individual group. But as far as the more payment.
Oh, more that
There are two things they're trying to do. Maybe they wanted to make him pay for this one, and also he's going to come on board for the fourth time. So it's considered one edus as far as the individual going, and therefore what he does have to. They do have to pay for that, but they don't have to pay for the muad because they were part of a group, and the whole group is not zoman. What if that was the case of Nimches Katrishonas Amemes, Arekan Shtei Edios, the Hu Potter, the Hein Petuim. Shtei Edios means what? The translation states what?
So we still have two endings.
That's what it means. Like Rebbe Yaakov said, there are two left. I thought it might have meant that there's two. One as far as the particular going. One is about making him into a muad. But we'll say simpler that there's still two left.
Those two still stand. That
we still have two endings that he gored twice. Not 3 times.
And sure, he has to pay for those two. He has to pay for those two gorings. But he doesn't have who Potter. He doesn't have to pay for the first goring that was claimed because that was proven false. The Peturim, the Edom Zoman, this first cut is going to be Potter for what? For the Nezek Shalom, but they are going to be hard. They are going to be chayiv for the one going that they wanted to cause him on that their individual. Okay, so it doesn't say that, but that's what it means. Nim says Kachnias members. A second group also was found to be in Ashkelon over there. I reckon I have one left, the way we'll translate. The who part of to him. Once again, the victim doesn't have to pay for
Nezek Shalim. That's what it says. Who put him in Nezek Shalim? Because that's the main point that we're talking about.
He's also parted from paying the second goring, okay. Paying to him for Nezek Shalim. But they are going to be chayiv for the Chazinezet that they said the second goring. All of them became zone. All three of them were not there. All three groups. So he didn't go not once, not twice, not three times. And they wanted to say that he gored once, twice, and three times. And each one was saying you have to be Chazinezek for this, and you also more. Kul and Chayavim. Then they're all chayiv to pay for
Nezek Shalim for making.
Nezek Shalim for the more. Of course, the chayiv for the individual thing that they wanted to do, the Chazinezek that they wanted to do, and for making him to more on the fourth time.
If they're all.
That's the third case.
Sad question here. Does that mean that, let's say it's three groups of AD of two, so that means there's six of them.
Right, 6 AD.
So you divide the.
Yeah, they could share the cost. They could share the cost. Whatever that extra thing was, they all pay. They all chip in to pay. Not each one has to pay. It doesn't get paid more than he would have lost. That's the end of that. And this says that we do them like they did, like they wanted to plan, like they planned to do. They get punished what they wanted to do. End of the brisa. And the Gemara thinks it has a proof here, something about Ludi Torah, Ludi Gavra. That's supposed to be reason what this brisa. If you say that the purpose of all the warnings is to make the ox into a mud, everything makes sense. Well, okay. What's the problem the other way? Ella Amud Beis. Ella Yamrid Leyud Gavra. If the purpose of them is to make the man warned and he transgressed. Leimu Hanach Kamoi, let the first group say, Anan Yadina, the Basa Shlosha Yome, Asuhani Umiyadile. The Gemara is pressing on the fact that the 3 days, I'm not sure about what I said before, it's true with the days, and Rameir of Yudah, here it was going 3 days. The Gemara wants to know, if according to Yudah, you have to have 3 days of warning the owner. I didn't understand this. That the Gemara says that according to Madama, it says 3 days, so the owner can't become a muad if you tell him on 1 day. Even if has to have 3 days.
3 days.
Only 3 different days. Now, what's going to happen over here? What the Gemara is trying to say, I don't get it clearly. The Gemara is trying to say that these 3 groups of Eidim that testified in Bezdin, were they standing in Bezdin together?
Sorry, if it's 3 days, so they weren't investing together.
That's all the Gemara wants. Right. If it's 1 day, it could be they were in Bezdin together.
I see.
And then they know about each other, and they know they're coming to make him a mud. Means we're holding them responsible for making him a mud. Group 1 and 2, we say they didn't just come to say it's Chayt Chatzin. You were part of the conspiracy to make him into a mud. If they're all in Bezdin at the same time, so you can say we see the conspiracy. But if they came Sunday, they came Monday, they came Tuesday, so the first one says, how did I know they're going to come Monday and Tuesday? How did I know he's going to go on? I just came to pay. He gored once, and I came innocent guy. I'm not so innocent. I'm an Adam Zoman. But all I wanted to get, the guy should pay $1,000. They didn't want to make him into a more. Now the Gemara says that if you hold Ludei Gavra, that the 3 days is the point. That you have to have. He should be warned 3 different days. Am I making sense? That what do they say? That he has to have transgressed the warnings. Means if the ox has to go on 3 different days, and the owner had to have transgressed 3 warnings, that means that he couldn't have be together in Bezdin. And therefore, how could you charge the first one?
Says it can be in 1 day.
So I'm not sure, because according to Rabbi Meir, also I was questioning that also could be all 3 in the same day, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. But they came to Bezdin, it had to be transgressing 3 warnings. So when the first group came, he didn't go the second time yet. That's going to be the 12 o'clock story. Right now it's 11 o'clock. So the first group, but they're not in Bezdin together, no. But not the same day. They came 11, and then afterwards, they warned them. They warned. You have to have warned. If you're only the God, but they have to have warned him. Your ox scored at 11 o'clock. They told him 11:30. Your ox scored at 11 o'clock, and then 12:30 they come to warn him again. Your ox scored at 12 o'clock, and then they come again at 1:30. That your ox scored. So they weren't there together. Because the time of the first warning, no, I mean to say that time of the first warning, he had not gored yet. Of course, the whole thing was imagination; they dreamed it up. But the story has to be that they testified against him that your ox gored before he gored his next time. So they're not in Bezdin together. Even the plan they made in the back room, they had to say come later, because The whole point is that he gored after he was warned. He had to have transgressed. The Gemara could have been also the same day. The point is, were they there together or not? If you held Leudei Torah,
No, but they
then
wouldn't meet in the hallway or something.
it wouldn't make a difference if they met in the hallway because he didn't gore yet, according to the story. Of course, this is all in the story land. That they came and said, your ox gored, and told Bezdin, his ox gored. And he did not yet gore a second time. There's no other Adam standing over there because he didn't gore yet. Even according to their story, he didn't gore yet. So you're not going to get them being in Bezdin together. Of course, they could be making conspiracy before, but they weren't in bed. We can't prove to them that you were in on it. We can't prove to the first group that you planned to make him into a muad because they came before the second group could have come. So I still think the Gemara might not mean that according to Rabbi Yehuda, but the point is, you have to make the warning of he has to transgress 3 warnings. That's the kasha.
Hanach Kamai Anan.
Let the first one say, Anan miyav, this is quotations.
Lema Hanach Kamai.
Let the first one say, Anan miyav yadina de basa shlosh yom yosem hani miyadile. Did we know that after 3 days, these other guys are going to come and say that he gored again? It must be that they all came together and they said, your ox gored at Sunday. And one group said Sunday, one group said Monday, one group said Tuesday, but they're all together invested. And then we see a conspiracy. It's the most proof to say.
What's the proof?
That it must be that if you tell the owner your ox gored 3 times, 3 different days, he becomes a muad. And that's what happened over here. They came on Wednesday. All 3 groups came on Wednesday to Bezdin, and they said that Reuven's ox gored. One group says his ox gored on Sunday. Another group says his ox gored on Monday. And the third group says his ox gored on Tuesday.
And we said that they were.
And then we find them to be Zomrim. So we saw a conspiracy. They're all trying to make him into a muad because they were all there together. They knew what's happening. And then when we find that there's Zomrim, so we say you were a conspiracy to make him into a muad. Besides, you wanted to make an Hazi Nezek for that particular goring. You also wanted to do a conspiracy to make him a muad.
So it must have been on the Torah.
So it must be on the Torah, but if it would be the Gabra, then it wouldn't have been together. So Rashi said, I said this over to his right to Rav Kana to prove from here Leudei Torah. And he said to me, Leudei Torah minicha. And if they're coming to make, if you hold Leudei Torah, so then you're okay. They came together in Bezdin. Anan menoya dina dechol dekoi beidina lasude betorah kasu. Anan lechayude gavra palgadiska asina. Even if you say they're all Bezdin together, the last ones could say, I'm not sure, maybe the first ones also, I'm not sure, but the last ones, I'm not sure about this point, but the last ones could say, just because they were in Bezdin, do I know what they came for? I came to Bezdin. It's true that it might have happened all the same day, but just because they're there in Bezdin doesn't mean that I know what they're talking about. I came to Bezdin, I said my piece, and I didn't have any, I wasn't conspiring with them. I wanted to make him pay $1,000 because whatever, I'm angry at him. I want him to pay $1,000. But, I didn't have a plan to make him a muad. Just because they're investing together doesn't necessarily mean that they know what each other one is talking about in investing. How come the Gemara pointed at the last one up, but the first one surely? The first one surely could say, I didn't know the other ones are going to come. Why is the Gemara, before the Gemara said Kamoy, here the Gemara says Basroi.
Kamoy means what?
Kamoy means the first ones, the first group. And Basroi means the last group.
Yes.
So why did the Gemara, Rashi says something I didn't get it straight.
We thought it's the last group, they see the first group, so we know that they could have been talking to each other.
But even that the Gemara is asking, even the last group. And where's the Torah mean? Rashi does say, neither come by Vade Liude Discabnu Sheva Yodim Shein al Nizik Shlishi Letzbo Negichos Rishonos Ela Kidei Liado Lachaybo Nezik Shalem.
Then they ignore the idolatry is evil because it causes us to forget Hashem and the purpose of the world.
I think Rashi puts in something about who brought these eight into Bezdin. If they come to Bezdin, I think Rashi puts in something about who's the one who's pressing charges. Who's pressing charges over here? So something to do with why does this?
He has a long thing about it. הראשונים מהדברים באופנים שונים, מדוע מזכיר רב כהנא בשאלתו שיוכלו דווקא העגל האחרונים.
Saying it's a kasha. The Pashut, as we look at the Gemara, we would have said the Kamoy also. Each one case, so we'll leave it at that for today. That each one could have said, I didn't know what the other ones are there for. So that's also a kasha. The answer is the Kamoy Ramze Remuze. We see that they are what's the word? To make hinting. They're hinting to each other. We see that there's communication between them. It's not that each one's coming on his own. We see if you say on the same day, different days, they're not there. But if it's coming in the same day, they're in business. Yeah, they're twinkling to each other. You can see that they have communication. Rabash Yomar Kishabor with Sufim, that they came one after consecutively. We see that they're in on it. Ravina Amar, Makir Ba'al Makir Nes Ashor, that you can't say they only came for making him a muad, for making him to pay for the chatzin nezek and not to pay for a muad, means the Gemara is all trying to explain that if they came together to Bezdin, we could show that he meant to make him a muad, and not just to pay innocently only on the one goring, not on the three goring, because they said we don't even know which short gored. We know one of your shforim gored, so they didn't come to pay chatzin nezek, because since the chatzin nezek is only migufo, and we don't know which shore it was, you can't pay anything. So it only comes to make him into a muad.
Makirin Balashore.
We know the one, and the Gemara right. And the Gemara says, if they don't know which shore it is, how can they make him into a muad? The army, they say, we know that one of your oxen is a gorer. We didn't know which one, and now you have to watch all of your herd because one of them is a gorer. So they came not to make him pay for this particular chatzin nezek because they don't know which one it is. They know the pays migufo. So he doesn't have to pay. But they're telling him, you should know that one of your oxen is a gorer. You have to watch your whole herd now because one of them is a gorer. And if they're going to happen, and if it'll be found out at the end, if it'll come verified who was the gorer, you're going to have to, you're a muad because you didn't watch it. So the Gemara successfully got out of, that's the question now. The Gemara did explain that if y'all do the Torah, that they could be all in Bezdin, we know that they're conspiracy. But if y'all do the Gavra, the heart of Gemara means to say, do the Gavra, they came in different days, and there wouldn't be a way to show that they came as a conspiracy, and the Chorah Gemara proved the Udei Torah. But I think that there's a question about this pshat, so we'll have to see tomorrow. It's already pretty late. Yes, Shikon.